Dave, you got the mic before the start?
Yeah. So I guess first off, you feel good coming off that. You probably never feel safe this time of year. So how do you feel when you're trying to feel good about a team and yet there's still this great picture always out there?
Yeah, listen, I love this team. I know first and foremost, we got a great group of guys who are working really, really hard, showing an ability to overcome some adversity, which is really important this time of year. But you know, we're not going to change because we won a game. We're focused on having a good practice today, and that mentality and approach is critical, I think, this time of year. It's not to, you know, pretend like games aren't big time and meaningful and all that, but in order for us and our team to play its best, we got to keep focused on the task at hand, and right now that's having a good practice today.
I know a lot of this is the Big Ten play, the nature of it, but this whole every other win thing, you guys have been doing for a full month. What do you got to do to kind of string a few of these together?
Yeah, listen, like life in the Big Ten is really hard, and it's top to bottom full of really good teams. So I think what we're fighting for is the consistency, right? Just each and every individual game within those 40 minutes, are we playing at a higher level more frequently than we did before? I thought we did that. We did that against Wisconsin. We've also shown an ability to respond and show some resiliency, which is, again, important. Now, it'd be great to break the streak, right? Like right now, that'd be a great time to do that. But our focus isn't on kind of maybe what's happened in the past or how, like our focus is on Michigan State. And again, in order to get ready to play well, you know, on Sunday, we got to be good today.
And the challenges that East Lansing proposes to you is?
It's one of the best environments in the country. Big time environment, be a hostile crowd, the crowd noise, the energy in the building. It'll be great. It's what college basketball is all about, right? You got Michigan State and Ohio State Sunday early afternoon. You know, middle late February. It's big time college basketball right there.
I delegate the rest of my time to
You've talked about how guys on this team know what it takes to go to East Lansing and win. How much have you leaned on that prepping for this game?
Yeah, well, it's great that, you know, some of us have experience in there because it's such a hard place to win at, and you know what Coach Izzo's built there has been well documented, and it's, you know, he's a legend. So we've also had success at other really tough environments in this league, and I think that's important. This group has shown an ability to win on the road in this league, which is important. And I don't think you can make too much of, you know, what's happened in the past outside of, hey, we know what's required to win on the road. We know when you go into an environment like this, you gotta bring your best, and you gotta play with a consistency. Runs become really important. So we're prepared for all of that stuff, and you know, focused on what we can control.
What does it take to win there?
You got to be really tough. There's a physicality required in that building, and you know, I think you have to be able to sustain, you know, your own runs and then limit their runs. But it's a toughness. You got to be able to. Part of toughness, being able to execute. You know, being able, having high attention to detail, being able to play physical without, you know, I think going outside of yourself, right? Playing to your strengths. That's a form of toughness. So all of those things are important on the road, and especially in what is one of the best environments in the country.
Two things you've talked about a lot with this team: not fouling, not putting the other team at the line, and rebounding. They're elite at rebounding. They lead the Big Ten in free throw shooting. How much do you continue to dial in on those two talking points with your team when you look at this specific matchup?
It's been important for us, you know, for every game. We know it's going to be really important this game because, you know, those are two strengths of theirs. You know, we got to get to the free throw line also. And I think we've shown improvement on the glass. It's a great time for that, you know, certainly. And I think for us, it's going to take, you know, we're not built for one or two guys to just go dominate the glass. It's a collective effort for us. But when we're dialed in and everybody's doing their job, then we can be a good rebounding team, and we're going to need that on Sunday.
How do you feel like coming into late February, being on the bubble, there's a sense of desperation, and that could potentially be a positive as well? It doesn't necessarily have to be a negative.
Yeah, I think, you know, we want to be playing in big time, meaningful games, and certainly every single one of these down the stretch are, and we know that. I think we got a group that, you know, we're seeing some of our best players raise their level, and you know, what is the best time of year and most important time of year? That's important, but we also, like, we got to focus on, you know, one day at a time, and I think that's what best equips this team to to perform at its highest level. And we know we got a tough schedule down the stretch, one of the toughest schedules in the country probably. If I had to guess down the stretch, that's okay. You know, we got to get ready for the next one. Like, we can't think about what's beyond Michigan State right now.
When we've spoken to you after the last few games here, defense, the consistent improvements that you guys made against Virginia, made against Wisconsin, kind of night and day difference from the first time to the next time you played Wisconsin. How do you sustain that level of intensity, that level of just defensive play as you move forward here?
Well, we're still practicing hard. You know, I think how much time we spend on the court is relevant, right? This time of year, we've leaned into the sports science of managing, you know, all that stuff. But we're still practicing hard to improve and to prepare well and to get ready. And I think, you know, we're starting to see our guys take a step forward in execution. You know, a lot of times you hear execution, we immediately go to the offensive side of the ball. There's an execution element on defense that's critical as well. And as we've rebounded better, it's helped us defensively. So, you know, I love the attention to detail our guys are performing with on the defensive side of the ball. Great thing about Wisconsin, we saw that on both sides of the ball, right? And that's the challenge for us, is we have to do our job at a really high level, have great attention to detail. All that goes into our ability to execute on both sides. And what we're seeing is, because we're executing well, it gives us a chance to maybe scheme, to make some adjustments and do some things a little bit differently game to game, that, you know, when your execution isn't at the level you want, it's hard to do those things. So that's been a benefit for us last couple of games.
You mentioned rebounding being a team effort. Bruce's rebounding numbers in particular have been, I mean, just outstanding for the position he plays in. Have you ever seen a guard really attack the glass like he does, or a guard of his size at least?
I've never coached a guard that, you know, at his size that's rebounded the way he's rebounded. And like, it speaks to, you know, just how important winning is to him, because that wasn't a strength of his, you know, throughout his career, and now it's become a real asset for us. And so he's so committed to doing what it takes to win that, you know, he's not afraid to get in there and mix it up and go find a way to get the ball. I think you see a guy who, you know, some of these rebounds are coming when the ball's bouncing around, and he's the first to get it because he's so hungry to help us win, and that's becoming contagious. I really believe it. So, you know, there's some technical things that go into play that, you know, we've done this year that are a little different, but, you know, at the end of the day, his rebounding numbers are a byproduct of just his intent on winning and his effort.
You've talked about bringing Puff along and kind of getting his feet, you know, more under him as this process goes on. Where do you think he is as far as trying to get to the fully real best version that he can get to in the time that he's got with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a reality that, you know, he's not the best he can be yet for us, because it's been such a short condensed window, and then he was injured during, you know, a stretch of that. So what I appreciate about him is the time he's spending in this building to catch up, get better, to improve. I think we're seeing, you know, growth game by game, which is really important. You know, I think he's done some really good things. I think he had some really good minutes against Wisconsin, but I also don't think that's the best he can do.
Yeah.
So that's the exciting thing, is, you know, as he continues to get better, it makes our team better. And I know, you know, as it pertains to him, like, we're up against it from just a sheer time to do that.
Sure.
But that's what I appreciate about him. He's working really, really hard to speed that up as best he can.
You had talked about when he first started playing with you that it was you didn't feel it was necessarily fair to play him down the stretch in really high leverage moments. Are you more comfortable with that now than maybe you were a couple weeks ago? Is he getting to where you feel like you can maybe lean on him a little bit more in the last 5 minutes of a close game?
I think we're seeing real consistency as far as the execution of our schemes, right? You know, he's doing. It's not like he was practicing with us all year and then all of a sudden he got to play.
Right.
So there would be little things, just small concepts that are second nature to some guys, right, who have been with us all year, to where that's not the case for him. So that was a big reason why, when he first started playing, in my mind, it's like, that's not fair necessarily to put him in those situations. But I think what we've seen is improved consistency. And, you know, at this time of year, you got to have all hands on deck, everybody ready and available, because you're fighting for, you know, one possession at a time at the end of games. And if that possession, you know, the best thing for that possession is for him to be on the floor, we got confidence to do that now, where maybe when he first got here that wasn't the case.
You You threw out some unique lineups the other night, and I know obviously Junie's injury has played a role in that. How comfortable are you with Puffling at the 2 or something like that?
Yeah, we can do things where, 2, 3, even 4 to some degree are relatively interchangeable.
Yeah.
So I think what it's forced us to do, being down Junie and Brandon, it has forced us to get a little creative, but do it in a simplistic way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That allows some guys to really do the same thing they were doing maybe at another position, but still be able to execute certain plays and certain actions that we need to if we're trying to target maybe a certain mismatch or things of that nature. So yeah, it's a very fine line of being able to make adjustments, but also giving guys the clarity that they can go out and play.
Yeah.
You don't want them overthinking and things like that. So we have some versatility within our systems, both offensively and defensively, to that the number you want to put on a guy as far as positionally doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
What is the latest on Junie as far as where he's at with the injury?
Yeah, well, he's touching a basketball, which is a step in the right direction, but we still don't know an exact date or time frame yet. There's still some, I think, things he's got to do to continue to progress. We're hoping it happens really quickly, but he's up moving. He's we put a ball in his hand, so it's all that's real positive. As far as today or Sunday, I just don't know yet.
The fact that he hit 2 threes after he suffered the injury, have you ever maybe point out to him that, hey, with his hand injury, you're shooting better?
Oh, I reminded him. I don't know if I'd say better, but I reminded him that once that happened, he didn't have any issue making shots. So listen. The thing I love about him is he wants to play. Like, he's willing to play through whatever to be out there and help this team. He cares deeply about Ohio State and this team. So that's why I'm so confident that the moment he's ready to play, he's going to be out there. This isn't a situation where this is going to linger any longer than it absolutely has to. And I appreciate that about him, because I think there's a reality too that this season will go while he plays, and he's going to probably be in some pain doing it. It's just kind of the nature of this time of year and him battling through something like this. But we're not talking about a guy who's waiting to feel a certain level of percentage to be out there. He's just waiting to get the okay.
Yeah.
And I think once he has that, he'll be out there, and it'll be great to have him back, certainly. But yeah, if he wants to shoot like he did after it happened, we'd take that too, certainly.
You mentioned some light at the end of the tunnel with Brandon like a week ago or so. How is he doing? Is there still progress there?
Yeah, there is. He's progressing well, even though he's walking in a boot right now. Right? I think. Listen, he's working really, really hard to get back as quickly as he can, and I think we're optimistic that at some point this season that'll happen. It's still too early to say, hey, this is the target date, but there's a real chance he's back this year, and he wants to be back. He's obviously doing everything he can to get back as quickly as he can, but maybe in a couple weeks we'll have an idea of, hey, this is kind of the target date. But right now we don't have it. But I have seen him not in a boot walking around and stuff. So
Okay.
just that's why I feel I'm optimistic about at some point him being available.
2 games that John's missed. Mari shot 3 of 4 from 3 both games. Prior to the season, did you think he'd be able to, contribute from the 3-point line the way he's been recently?
Well, he told me I need to start running some of he said, you need to run some of those Junie actions for me now. So, listen, when Amari got on campus, he had great maturity and really a veteran's approach to improvement. He works extremely hard. Oftentimes when you have young players and you work the way we work in this program, they hit a big wall. They have a couple, even before the season starts, they hit a freshman wall, because what we do is hard, and we train really hard and we push really hard. He never had that. He just kept bringing it. He brings great joy every time he's in the gym. So for me, that gave me great confidence that he was going to improve as the season went on in a big way. He works hard on his shooting. His shooting's fluctuated at times this year, right? But we've always believed in him really, really every step of the way. So I love the confidence that he's playing with right now. I think our guys have great confidence in him, and that's the biggest thing. Like, you want a guy out there taking shots who believes it's going in and playing one guy's being aggressive, one guy's playing with confidence. He has that, and as he should, because he's earned it. So, you know, the better, right, the better he's shooting the ball, the better it is for us. And, you know, I got reason to believe that he's going to continue to play at a high level on really both sides of the ball, which he's done these last couple games.
Thanks, Coach.